So we now know why Disney is pushing so strongly for New Mutants to get a theatrical release, and it has to do with contracts in place and the fact that if they release the film, it has to go to a rival company's streaming service. So let's talk about New Mutants, Disney Plus, HBO, and HBO Max specifically. So recently an article was published by multiple websites. I tried to track down the original source. I want to say it's Deadline, but I can't really be sure because a lot of people aren't actually sourcing the correct one. The one I'm going to use is going to be Variety. As I always say, Variety is a perfect, go-to. They don't do rumors or anything. It's official. If they publish it, you can take that to the bank and bet on it. So let's talk about what Variety is stating here. And they're talking about 20th Century Fox's acquisition by Disney and contracts that are in place still. Now, before we get into what exactly is happening, let me explain a scenario to you that happened years ago. Black Panther, when it was on Netflix, but Disney Plus was launching. Star Wars, when Star Wars was officially going to Disney, we know Warner Brothers had in their deal a contract with Fox about where these movies could go. Disney had to go out there and they had to reach a new agreement and pay a certain amount of money and do certain things that we're not fully aware of to be able to get all of the Star Wars films to one place. Recently, we of course saw this as well with Stars and some other Star Wars films on Disney Plus. So what is happening is essentially if Disney and Fox wanted to put New Mutants out on one of their streaming services, Disney Plus or Hulu, they would have to pay a big sum to Warner Brothers, or they would have to negotiate a new contract in place. Because years ago, Fox signed a deal where films that they were coming out for the next few years would see a first run on Warner Brothers services, including HBO, which would now become HBO Max. So if Disney was to say we're going video on demand, they might be able to pull that off, but otherwise the film then starts a countdown and it goes to their rival service for streaming. So things start falling apart. So Disney sees a viable option as putting the film out in theaters, seeing what money they can make, and then trying to figure out what happens from there. If the movie makes enough money, maybe they can buy out that contract with just the pure profits and incentivize you to go to one of their services. If not, fine, let HBO take it and let HBO and Warner Brothers run Marvel content. It's only going to help us in the long run. So again, this is studio politics, and as they go in here, there's actually a bunch of movies that fall into this, and it's quite interesting of a read, which I will have it, of course, linked down below, and I suggest you guys check it out. But essentially, it doesn't look like, unless new contracts come into play and new negotiations, that New Mutants happens to go to Disney Plus or Hulu. It's going to be on HBO and Warner Brothers services and channels.